In Baldur's Gate 3, long resting is extremely important. You regain your health, spell slots, special abilities, short rests, and it advances many quests and storylines. It also refreshes merchant inventories and provides you with access to illithid abilities. But come on, do you actually need any of that stuff to clear the game, or could you make the right party work? In this video, I'm not going to benefit from long resting at all, and I'm not going to abuse any of the other ways to fully restore characters either, like traveling between two regions or switching the game difficulty off of Tactician at any point. I've played through Act 1 a lot of times now, so I decided to make this playthrough a little different, and I'm going to skip straight to level 4 without fighting or attacking at all. In fact, the only times I'm going to be in combat before level 4 is on the prologue ship and the Druid Grove fight, but I don't need any attacks to win either of those. On the prologue ship, I can simply lure the imps upstairs and introduce them to this intellect devourer, who is more than capable of taking them on. In the bridge, I can just run right past everything and the prologue is clear. At the Druid Grove, I can have Gale cast jump on my character so I can take the high ground. Then I just blow the horn over and over to give the Grove fighters the rallied buff for +8 temporary health every turn. Easy. From here, I can use a few tricks to gain a ton of experience, and the first is talking my way out of an ambush at the Blighted Village, which gets me to level 3. Then I can talk my way into the Goblin camp, and this is where I decided to grab the Disguise Self spell for Gale. By disguising Gale as a drow, he can walk right into the Goblin camp without even needing an ability check. And the reason this is giving me so much experience is that Baldur's Gate 3 gives you experience for each enemy that you didn't have to fight because you talked your way out of it. I wandered around the map and received some more experience from questing, from exploring in general, and then I headed to the big one, the Gith Yankee Patrol. I used a hireling that had expertise in persuasion and passed the check very easily, leveling almost all my characters to 4. Seriously, Shadowheart, you're gonna be 4 experience short? So I went and talked some ogres out of a fight, and my whole party is now level 4 without needing to fight. After this video, I actually went and experimented a little bit with this and found a way to do it with 0 ability checks. So just let me know in the comments if you would want to see something like that. I can make it pretty quick. So now, with a level 4 party, what is the easiest way to reach level 5 without using any of my limited resources? The answer is definitely going to be clearing the Underdark and Grimforge. I decided to head towards the Spider Matriarch's entrance to the Underdark, and I picked a fight along the way. All of my characters have high dexterity and proficiency in stealth because I want to be able to act first when combat starts. The goal is to win fights as often as possible without it ever really being a fight. To pull this off, I have an assassin rogue, a gloomstalker ranger, a shadow monk, and then my warlock has the alert feat so that they can go up in front, try to talk people out of things, and if it doesn't go well, they still get the first move. So as often as possible, I want enemies to be surprised in combat so that they lose a turn. My Gloomstalker can use their Dread Ambusher attack. It's just a free action that they get on the first round of combat, so that really helps me thin down the enemies. And all of my characters, except my Warlock, can hide as a bonus action, so it's really easy after we take some attacks to try and slip out of line of sight and hide, and then let our stealth proficiency keep us hidden. By playing like this, I'm hoping that the majority of fights we will be able to take on without a scratch. And the ones where we do take some hits should be okay because I still won't need to use any serious amounts of resources to get out of it, maybe just some health potions at the end to heal up, and we're good to go. My battle plan worked out perfectly. I was able to take out almost everything before they were done being surprised with just one enemy left, and we took that one down with some ranged attacks, and my monk went up and delivered the final blow. So now it's time to turn my attention to the Spider Matriarch, and I have a very specific goal for this fight, which is that I want to knock her down into the middle chasm. So I use Minor Illusion to lure her into position, and I use Eldritch Blast to knock her down. The other spiders I was able to take out extremely easily. My rogue has Sharpshooter, so when she does land hits, they do a massive amount of damage, and she's an assassin, so they're critical hits against surprised enemies. On my monk, I'm running Tavern Brawler, which is just broken. It does so much damage, so my monk has an insanely high accuracy and amount of damage, which is perfect whenever the situation calls for a little bit more brute force. Now that I've done the prep work, my plan to clear the Underdark is easy. I'm just going to grab this little mushroom guy Glut and have him reanimate the Spider Matriarch's corpse into a Spore Servant, because the Spider Matriarch is a fantastic fighter, especially down here in the Underdark. The teleportation really helps her get around and be able to land all of her attacks. She can just teleport as a bonus action every turn. She gets 2 attacks, resistance to physical damage. She hits like a truck. She is awesome. I can't recommend this enough. It was really, really fun to be able to just run around with a giant spider down here. Plus, look at that critical hit. That is beautiful. Massive amounts of damage coming out from the spider. There's no way to heal her, so eventually she will probably go down, but by then I'll have another plan in place. Say hello to Plan B. Hello, Bulette. We need to kill you, so we'll have your corpse available as a backup. Wow, I was not actually expecting it to go that smoothly. I thought for sure that he would run away or something, but he just stayed the whole time and we killed him, so this is fantastic. I headed over and I took down the spectator next using the Face Spider Matriarch, and her health's getting pretty low here, so this is definitely going to be the last fight that she's in, and I got my characters involved just in case I didn't want her to go down. I had my Tavern Brawler Monk throw a health potion at my downed Warlock, which was regrettable. I knew this happened too. I saw it on Reddit. I saw people on Reddit say not to do this, and I just forgot. I forgot, and so that's a dead Warlock. Just so you know what happened, the Tavern Brawler feat adds damage to everything that's thrown, so I did damage to a downed character, and that finished them off. But it's okay, we won the fight. I just need to use a Scroll of Revivify to get my Warlock back, and the Face Spider is pretty much tapped out here, so we're going to swap the Face Spider Matriarch out for Bulette. Bulette's a pretty great fighter too. He just is a little bit more cumbersome to use because he's got elite places instead of teleport. But he does a ton of damage. He can do damage with his jump and then also do more damage by biting. So he's got very good attacks, and having him down here is going to make the rest of the Underdark really easy to clear. Bulette belly flopped our way to victory against the Dwergar at the lake, and Gekko saw his moves and tried to copy him, but you just can't copy something this sexy on your first try, buddy. My party was pretty hurt by the end of clearing the Underdark, but I just grouped everybody up in a little diamond and threw health potions on the ground to heal us back up. Then I killed off Glut, and I am ready to go into the Grimforge. I did take a quick detour to clear out the Goblin camp, but I actually made a mistake earlier in the video. When I was gaining experience by talking to people and getting out of fights, I told Minthara I would raid the Druid's Grove with her, and I was going to kill the goblins there, but that attack doesn't trigger unless you take a long rest. So by accident, I've doomed the Druid's Grove and the Tieflings because I can't find Minthara anywhere. I'm pretty sure there's nothing I can do about this without long resting, so that's a little oopsie moment, but nothing I can do about it but move on. Down in the Grimforge, I stole a rune powder barrel, which is a massive explosion, and pickpocketed a rune powder vial, so I have even a little more. Then I picked a couple fights to gain experience, and I actually got in a tough situation with these magma methods, which is embarrassing because they're very weak, and I have lost a character and had to use another Scroll of Revivify. So, you know, it happens. Just a little embarrassing, but we made it to level 5 with that one, so we're ready to go take on Grim and then take on all of the Dwergar and Nier. With a party that is primarily piercing damage, something like Grim would be pretty tricky to deal with if I wasn't completely willing to just manhandle the fight and turn it into a joke. So I used the Gith Yankee Psionic Leap ability to have my monk jump all the way back up to the top after starting the fight. Then I had her go into sneak mode and jump back down because she has Feather Fall, so she'll stay in sneak mode. Grim can only take damage if he's been superheated by lava in the last 2 turns, so I just had my monk stand at the bottom, just twisting the valve every once in a while whenever the lava flow shut off, and I had the rest of my party standing up on the cliffside, just shooting at Grim until the fight was over. So, you know, if you're new here and weren't expecting to see me cheese the game, then you should know that that's never what you should expect on my channel because I'm always willing to cheese the game. And this isn't going to be the last cheese in this video. The next one is drastically more fun. It goes a little off the rails and I had to improvise a bit, but I'm very happy with the end result. This fight at the Grimforge, assuming that you choose to fight, can actually be pretty tricky, so I used Minor Illusion to lure one of the guards over to the edge and threw them off, and I got a little confused because they tried to make me talk my way out of it, so I just went for it and I just rolled the dice and I actually got a critical success. But I realized what my mistake was after a little while. I accidentally had left the game in turn-based mode when doing the throw, and all I need to do to not need to talk to these guys right before they plummet to their death is turn off turn-based mode when I'm throwing them off the edge. Apparently they don't get mad when you fail to throw them off the edge, so it doesn't seem like there's anything that could possibly go wrong here. I just lure them over with Minor Illusion, I throw them until I get a success, which I only failed one time because I'm using a Tavern Brawler 21 Strength Monk because of my elixirs, and I can just shove them all off, throw them in the lava. It was a good time. Once I'd taken all of them out, I went ahead and fought Nier 1v4, and he didn't stand a chance. There was literally no way he was going to come out of this one alive. And with that, I was ready to head to the mountain pass, but the game unfortunately forces a long rest here. So in order to make sure I don't benefit from the long rest at all, I checked over all my characters to see what abilities I've used so far. The only character resources that I've used are on my Gith Yankee Monk, where I've used 2 key points and the Gith Yankee jump ability. I made sure my party was full health before the rest, and in the morning I wasted 2 key points and the jump ability, so I've gained absolutely no benefit from this long rest whatsoever. So it's on with the adventure into the Gith Yankee Crash, where every single plan that I had is going to fail miserably and I'm going to have to do something different. Love that for me. I snuck into the Gith Yankee Crash because I've actually never talked to those guards. I have no idea how it goes. I've snuck in every single playthrough I've ever done. But I got the waypoint and fast traveled everybody else in, and then I ran around and turned off all the lights so that I can use stealth more effectively. And you can see my characters can just sit in stealth forever in front of pretty much anybody. We would have to roll 2 1s because we're rolling with advantage on our stealth checks, so we would literally have to roll double 1s, which is possible, but very unlikely. And on my halfling, I would get to re-roll the 1, so it's even less likely. So here's my big idea. I want to attack the Gith Yankee and then use stealth to evade them and lure all the Gith Yankee in the Crash into the final room. But the sad reality is that it just isn't going to work. Maybe if I wanted to commit several hours to trying to pull this off, I could eventually get it, but the problem is that when my characters are in sneak mode, the Gith Yankee will go and examine their last location, and if they can't find anybody, the combat will end. Even when I was more careful to make sure at least one character stayed in combat, the Gith Yankee would get stuck in the crowded hallways or confused, and they would run the wrong direction, go in the wrong room, they would go too far away from the battle and drop off. I even encountered a ridiculous glitch where my characters were just constantly dropping in and out of combat over and over again, and the sounds that it was making were insanely irritating, and I couldn't have that. The whole thing was just a nightmare, so I decided to move on to plan B. And plan B is to have my monk pick them up to use them as an improvised attack. Then I can fast travel while I'm carrying them, and it brings them with me to the waypoint, while also canceling my attack so we don't start fighting. I ran around the Crash collecting as many Gith Yankee as I could. Some of them would just teleport back to their starting spot for some reason, but most of them stayed when I brought them to the waypoint. I filled up this hallway with the majority of the Gith Yankee in the Crash, and I put my rune powder bomb down on the ground with the rune powder vial on top. And obviously you know what happens next. No, I'm pretty sure it worked. Time for the boss fight of the Gith Yankee Crash, but because I made the rest of the Crash easier by just blowing everybody up with rune powder, I'm going to make the final fight harder to compensate by adding more people to the fight than there's supposed to be. I started off with a bunch of sneak attacks and retreated out of the room and onto the bridge, and my monk is using Pass Without Trace, so we have really high stealth right now, and we would pretty much need to roll a 1 in order to get detected. But because I didn't kill everybody in the Gith Yankee Crash with my rune powder bomb, there's soldiers soldiers waiting for me at the end of the bridge, and they're going to join the fight as well. Now my party is pinched between two groups of enemies, and our only hope is really to stay hiding in stealth. But the problem with a bridge is there's not really very many ways to stay away from people. And although it would be hard for them to detect me by seeing me, if they get too close, they can detect me simply because they are right next to me. They just automatically are like, oh, look, you know, there's a person right here touching my knee. Must have been the wind. To mitigate this, I tried to enter stealth a little bit away from where I actually had my party members standing, but it was just a matter of time. One of the Gith Yankee just had the sixth sense, and he knew exactly where to run, even while he was saying he can't seem to find them. He walked right up to my warlock, and then went and found a second member of my party. This is when everything started to go wrong. So I'm pretty sure this fight is an easy win. Before I started trying to kill the Gith Yankee Kresh, I learned, and many of you maybe know this already, but I learned that the Dwergar can cast invisibility over and over again. It's not tied to short rest or long rest or any, they can just use it over and over, which is awesome. So I used invisibility to sneak into the room where the boss is, and I attacked the statue until I managed to knock it loose. And since I was able to knock it loose, I opened up the trap door and put a couple of chests nearby so that I can block it and use it as a fallback position if I ever got into a bad situation. Turns out I did get into a bad situation. I'm actually really annoyed that the commander decided to run away because I think I had this one. I think I had them both, but the Inquisitor stayed, and I took out the Inquisitor from my little hidey hole. Oh God, look at my face. I went to the bridge and revived all of my party members, then circled back around to the commander and dealt with them with an Eldritch Blast into the chasm. I grouped my party up and chucked some health potions, so we're all nice and healthy again, and we are all set for Act 1.